Greetings, scavengers. Today's guest is Russian language tutor and Russian citizen Anastasia Redkina. I wanted to talk to Anastasia because Russia and Russian politics have been so enmeshed in American news lately. Most of us Americans only ever hear the version of things as told by Russian officials through the filter of American media. I wanted to hear what the actual Russian people thought of current events, or at least what one Russian citizen thinks of current events. Anastasia was thoughtful in her responses and surprised me with many of her thoughts, especially her historical perspective. I think this was a fascinating conversation, and I'm excited to share it with you all. I would appreciate if you would like this video and subscribe if you haven't already, as I'm trying to grow this channel. Each like and subscription helps tremendously. Thank you very much, and with no further ado, here is my interview, here is Scavenger's interview with Anastasia Redkina. Thanks.
Hello.
Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте. Can you hear me okay?
Да.
Uh-huh.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Yes? Okay. All right. Вы хорошо выглядишь сегодня.
Спасибо. Спасибо.
Спасибо to you. Thanks for taking the time to do this today.
No problem.
Yeah. How is your weekend going?
Well, I'm working actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You're tutoring?
No, I'm working on the promotion of my YouTube channel, on the promotion of my website. So now I actually have, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully I can help promote a little bit with this. So, all right, let's get to it.
Okay.
Well, yes. You're working today. I want to make sure I don't use too much of your time. So
no, it's actually already evening here. So
oh, right.
Yeah, it's my last thing for today. So,
oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Are you still having that big heat wave?
Sorry?
Is it still very hot? You said it was very hot.
Oh, no. It's like mild now.
Oh, okay.
Not too hot.
All right. Well, so thank you for taking the time to talk today. The reason I wanted to talk today was that I wanted to hear from an actual Russian citizen about what life in Russia is like in the year 2021. So Russia has been in American news a lot lately for political reasons, but we never get to hear the perspective from the Russian people themselves. Everything that we hear is political perspectives or media perspectives. So, and what I've realized over this last couple of years is that many of my fellow Americans, many of my friends and family still think of Russia as basically like the Soviet Union, totalitarian, cold, dangerous. But when I asked you to do this, I said I would stay away from dangerous topics, and you said you weren't afraid to talk about anything, right? So I think
I'm okay.
Yeah, I think maybe some of our ideas of Russia aren't accurate. So yeah, I really want to hear about what Russia is like today in 2021. And to start, could you just tell us a little bit about your background? What city do you live in now? Where are you from? Educational background, etc.
Yes, so I'm from the city called Izhevsk. It is located in the region of Russia that is called the Udmurt Republic. So we have different regions, like you in the United States have states. We have regions, which are different, like they have different names. Some are republics, some are oblasts, some are krais, etc. So I live in a republic. That means that in our region, we have many nationalities. So it's not only Russians who live here, but also Udmurts, That's like a minor ethnicity in Russia. And yeah, Tatars, Bashkirs, so very like minor nationalities. A lot of minor nationalities live here. And so Izhevsk is the capital of this region. I was born here. I'm not Udmurt, I'm Russian. Well, I don't know actually who I am by my blood, because I have something in my blood, in the blood of my parents, that I don't know yet. I didn't research it. So in Russia, it's all like mixed. You can't really tell who is like purely Slavic and who has some mixture in their blood. Because Udmurts, they are Finno-Ugric nationality. Like they close to the Finns, actually, and their language is similar to the Finnish language. So Tatars, they are close to Turkish people. Their language is similar to the Turkish language. So,
but everybody just, you all hang out just the same. There's no difference between like, oh, we don't talk to the Tartars.
No. Everyone gets along. Everyone speaks Russian, of course, and everyone considers themselves Russian, because we all live in Russia. And actually, in Russian, the very word Russian is an adjective, not a noun.
Really?
Yeah. So all other nationalities are nouns, like Amerikanец, Ispanец, Italianец. So all other nationalities are nouns, but Русский, by its form, is an adjective. So anybody can be Русский, actually.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so you can say Русский Американец, like Russian American. And you can put this Русский word before any nationality, basically.
Wow, that's neat.
Yeah, so if you have like the Russian worldview, and probably, for example, if you move to Russia and you live there for, I don't know, 5 years, you can consider yourself Russian, basically. Yeah. So, yeah, I was born in Izhevsk, and yeah, I've always been interested in foreign languages. I studied English. So we all study English in school. It's mandatory. Like the second foreign language is normally English.
Does everybody study to the point of proficiency?
No. No. So it's mandatory in school, like elementary through high school. We have English. Then students go to college or to the university, and then some of them also have English among their mandatory subjects, but some don't. So yeah, it's actually up to you.
You chose to stick with it, right? Because that's what you do now. You're a teacher, translator.
Yes. As I said, I really like the language itself and the process of speaking this language. So when I was in school, well, probably I will tell you a little bit about the Russian school system, because
please do. I would love it.
It's a bit different from the American system. So in Russia, we have kind of the same division: elementary, middle, and high school. And but when you finish middle school, that's like the 9th grade. And after the 9th grade, students have a choice. They can continue studying in high school, or they can go to a college. But a college in Russia is not the same as a college in America. In Russia, a college is something in between school and university. So it's not higher education. You don't get your bachelor's degree from college. You have something like a professional degree. So normally these colleges, they are oriented at like very, very working professions. I don't know, plumbing,
Okay.
something like that.
Like what we would call them blue collar professions here, like working
Yes.
with your hands. Yeah.
Yes. But also we have a college for like lower medical personnel, for nurses, and a teacher's training college. So you can become a teacher without even having a bachelor's degree. So I went to the teacher's training college after I finished the 9th grade, after I finished middle school. So I didn't go on in high school. I went to a college. So I studied there to be an English teacher, actually. And I taught English first to Russian children, then to adults. And then when I graduated from college, of course, I wanted to continue my education. So I went to the university to become translator and interpreter. So I studied at the university for 5 more years, because in Russia, well, until 2015, maybe, it was 5 years at the university, not 4. So this bachelor and bachelor degree, what's the other? What's the next level?
Master's degree?
Yeah, so bachelor's and master's degrees were introduced quite late, actually. In 2015.
Oh, wow. That's very recent then.
Yeah, so before we had our own system again, so 5 years. And I think it was a better system, because what you can study in 5 years is a lot more than what you can study in 4 years to become a bachelor.
Do you know why they changed it?
Well, it's a common process in our education, like unifying everything. Well, I don't really like this process, because I think it makes you like they don't educate you to be a specialist, a creator. They just want you to be someone who just executes some tasks, or like who has an instruction and works according the instruction.
Well, you know,
So
that is very similar to the United States. Yeah, I hear the same criticism about our education system all the time, and I totally agree with you. So
yes, I think in the United States, you now have the opposite process. So you are kind of you realize that now, as far as I know. So you try to go back to like proper education, making people think, and so on. But we are kind of behind. We're always a little bit behind the West in all these new tendencies. So first, you guys have it, then it comes to Russia, and our political elite, a part of it, says, yay, they do it. We need to be like Westerners. We need to do the same. So they they always try to imitate everything that you do.
Really?
Yeah.
Wasn't that like the Peter the Great? That was part of how he made Russia great, right? Right? He borrowed things from all these other civilizations.
Right, right. But I think he also got rid of some very good things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, despite since you guys have this system where they're kind of grabbing from the West, but is there still a sense of Russian pride, like national pride in your country?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, especially in recent times when, there is a confrontation between the West, the United States, and Russia. So I would say many ordinary people perceive America now as an enemy, basically.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Well,
I mean, that's not surprise. That shouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, many Americans view Russia the same way. The Russian government, not the Russian people.
yeah, well, you see, Vladimir Putin always says, like, we want to be partners with you guys. We want to interact, we want to cooperate, and so on. But America and the West in general, they seem to always want to make Russia dependent on them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's what you think is going on. And I honestly, I don't have an opinion. So when I ask, I'm honestly asking. I'm not like trying to passive aggressively plant things. But that's how you guys perceive it. You perceive it that the West is trying to create dependency on Russia and Russia is refusing it.
Yes, because, well, let's take, for example, the Treaty on non-enlargement of NATO to the east. Yeah, there was a treaty, it was signed between Russia and America, but what we see now is actually NATO is expanding, and NATO bases, they come closer and closer to the Russian border. So why?
Is the situation so has it progressed to the point now where there are worries about war? Like, is there talk about war with the West?
Yeah, there are always talks like that, but we prefer, like, there is a saying in Russian, we prefer bad peace than a good war.
Well, that's good.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the main narrative now in Russia.
And that has continued because obviously we had a different president recently, and so these feelings have just kind of continued between the two presidencies. It hasn't affected anything.
Well, yeah, but I think now that Joe Biden is president, it became even more dangerous. Like, the chance of war increased, in my opinion.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, I hope. I still hope, like, we can try to find some compromise. Yeah.
Same here. I mean, obviously, war is never good. I definitely wouldn't want war with Russia. I don't think that would be fun for either side.
Right. But as for, like, ordinary people, I mean, I teach a lot of American students, and
Right.
I'm friends with all of them. They are like very, very nice people. Yeah. So.
But that's the part of the reason why I really wanted to do this, because all you get to see is the big political situation, and the people themselves get lost, and it's kind of weird, because like I think generally people just want to get along. Everybody just wants to hang out, and like.
Yeah, it's the game of political elites, I think.
Right.
The rulers of the world. So.
Right.
Yeah, we just experience the consequences of these games and competition, as you might call it. There's always been competition between nations, and I don't think it will stop in the near future.
Right. And there's still so much left over from the Cold War, from, the Soviet era.
Sure.
Do you guys call it the Cold War?
Yes,
you
we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And moreover, many people in Russia think that the Cold War ended in our defeat. So if I remember correctly, there was even a speech given by Clinton, or was it Clinton, or was it George Bush? I don't remember. But the American president actually congratulated the Congress and the American nation on the victory in the Cold War.
That is how it's viewed here. It's viewed that we won.
Yes. So, and after that, the life in Russia became very, very bad.
Oh, really?
Really,
And that was, are you talking about like after the fall of the Soviet Union?
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
so life got worse.
Sure, because, well, the winner gets it all, right? If you win in a war, you get something, right? Even if it's not like the hot war, it's the Cold War. So you still get a lot from the defeated party. So basically, a lot of our industry was destroyed. A lot of plants, factories were just sold out to some oligarchs, and they were, of course, American agents. So they just.
Oh, is that okay? I want to hear more.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that they were Russians, but you think they were working for America?
Yes. Yeah, and of course, if you win, like the United States won, and they don't want Russia to become strong again. They don't want Russia to have strong industry, strong science, like strong economy in general.
Right.
So it was all just destroyed completely. So, for example, my parents, they were working together. They were working in a research institute. So they're both engineers by their education. And so they just lost their jobs because this institute was just closed. There was no need in it anymore. And they had to find other jobs. So, and many people were like that. Some people completely lost their jobs. They didn't know where to go, what to do. They committed suicides and so on. And
well, that was because previously in the Soviet Union, all of their jobs were from the government, right? They are from the central government. Is that correct?
Yes, and there were a lot of places to get a job. And as I said, education was oriented at making a creator person, not a consumer, not a executive. So we had a lot of scientists, we had a lot of engineers, and yeah, if you were a university student, you could be sure that when you graduate, you will get a job from the government. It was guaranteed. Right.
But it wasn't guaranteed for everybody?
No, it was guaranteed for all university students.
But for non-university students, there was no guarantee.
For like college students, well, they didn't call them colleges then, but the same kind of education. Yeah, I think they also had an opportunity to get a job right away after graduation.
So do you think that there is, do a lot of people wish that it went back to the Soviet time or a communist system?
Well, people who were like 30 years old when the Soviet Union collapsed, so people like my parents who are now in their 60s, they wanted back, yes. People who were children, teenagers at that time, I think some of them are glad it happened. Well, at that time, actually, many people were, they wanted more, what do you call it? Like, well, we did have strong army, strong science. We built rockets, like ships, tanks, and so on. But we didn't have we didn't have a variety of goods for ordinary people, like for everyday usage, for everyday life. And people who got a chance to travel to Europe at that time, they envied Europeans because they had a lot of different like kinds of food, clothes. So we didn't have it at the end of the Soviet period. But I think it could be fixed without destroying it all. Like, why can't you take a plant that produces tanks and like reformate it or something and start producing, I don't know, clothes, for example. So people who wanted goods, like they wanted to basically buy things that Europeans had and Americans had. So they were like, yes, no more Soviet Union. We want it all. We want jeans, bubble gum, and so on. So, yeah.
Well, what about, and I don't know how much is true and what is my perception as an American looking in, but you're more free now, right? I mean, you can speak freely, whereas before, did you not, like, if you criticize the government under the Soviet Union, were you not under threat of trouble from the KGB?
Yes, we have more freedom now, actually. Too much freedom, I would say.
Oh, why is that? Why do you say that?
Well, because there is actually no censorship in Russia, despite what you might think or what Americans might think. Actually, in our constitution, we have an article that says censorship is prohibited, so no censorship.
Was that constitution written up after the fall of the Soviet Union?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
And yeah, actually, basically everyone can like badmouth president, the government, not just criticize, but actually insult them. There were a lot of instances like that. Even major media, newspapers, editors, they wrote things about Putin, mainly about Putin, because he's a figure that everyone talks about.
He's
course.
very divisive. Like, I get the feeling there's a lot of people who love Putin, and then there's a lot of people who really, really hate Putin.
Da.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah. Well, if you want my opinion, I am for Putin. Because
what is the main division among Russians? Like, what is the main thing that makes people feel so strongly one way or the other?
Well, there are two main tendencies or two main streams right now.
Okay.
One is the liberal stream, the liberal tendency in thinking, and the other one is like patriotic kind of nationalism thinking.
Like what we would call conservative here.
Yes.
Okay.
So liberals, they they want endless freedom, freedom in everything, and they always look up at the West, at the United States. So they always think you have better, better things, like you are better in everything than we are. So these people hate Putin very much. But the other half of people, like, patriots, they believe that, well, you see, we need to speak separately about the government of Russia,
right,
and Putin, because many people associate Putin directly with the government. So he's the president, that's why he's responsible for everything that goes wrong in the country. Actually, so he's just one person, one man, and he has a surrounding, and in this surrounding there are different groups, and they're also powerful, like all these government officials, political elite. They have power. Sometimes they even have more power than Putin.
Okay.
And they promote their interests, or the interests of their, how do I say it, like owners or masters from the West. So some of them are like on the hook. They get paid by Americans. They have their property in America. They have their families in America. So they execute orders from the American government, basically.
And this is like a common belief among Russian people that this is happening, that some of your political figures are actually doing the bidding of other countries.
Well, yes, some. I wouldn't say it's a major belief, but people who are interested in this, who want to know, who are into politics, who are not indifferent to that, you don't just live your life, like go to work, relax in the evening, like watch football, I don't know, go to the dacha at the weekend. But if you are interested in these things, you know about it. It just it comes to your like sphere of interests. You see it in the social networks because you know that on the internet there is no censorship, so you can find any information. There are a lot of sources of information, and when you start listening and comparing different opinions, very soon if you analyze it, very soon you come to the conclusion that this is true.
Right.
Like half of our, well, I say half, like approximately half, well, I don't know how many percent, but some of our political elite is actually tied up with Americans, so to say. And there is always a battle going on between patriots and American friends, as maybe we can call them American friends. I don't know.
Right.
So this division, it's everywhere. It's in the government. It's in the society.
Is it to the point where, like, if you were to tell people, it sounds like you lean more towards what you call the nationalistic side, right? Which
Yes.
I think we would call our conservative side. If you were like in a cafe and you started talking, would a liberal person be able to talk to you, or is the division so much that it would be like you go your way and I'll go mine? Like you can't be friends.
Yeah, well, we definitely, if we started talking about politics, well, either I would like try to prove my point and like turn the person around. But
Right.
if I can't, yeah, we can't be friends because, well, unless it's my relative. If it's my
Right.
relative, of course, I will still meet with them and love them. I would just not talk to them about politics ever.
That's actually really interesting because it wasn't that long ago that here in the United States, kind of the cultural norm was that you don't let politics affect your personal relationships, right? So you can have somebody who was a very liberal person and somebody who was a very conservative person, and they would just get along. And that has changed over like the last, I mean, not, um, I don't have statistics or anything, but as somebody who lives here and experiences it, it has changed to where it sounds more like what you're describing in Russia, which is there's a lot of tension between conservatives and liberals. You know, like especially people who strongly identify as conservatives and people who strongly identify as liberals. It's like there's no more getting past your political divisions. It's like the political divisions have become people's personal divisions and they can't separate them anymore. So it's interesting that we're both countries they sound to be experiencing the same thing, and I hear the same in Europe too. I hear the situation is similar throughout Europe, so it's very odd. I don't know where this came from.
Well, here we say that if you can't be out of politics because politics is affecting your life. You live in this country, right? You don't live on the moon. You don't live on a deserted island. Some people still think they don't live in Russia. They just live in their apartment or their house. And that's a separate country. Like no one can come to your apartment. It's like a bunker, but it's not. You live in Russia. So you need to be interested in such things because it's affecting you every day. And if you don't care, well, it will catch up with you someday.
Right. Well, I think the way that it used to be seen here, and I can speak for myself how I used to see it and how I still try to see it, but it's become harder because it's become so polarized. But it's like there's two different basic personality types in liberals and conservatives, or nationalists, as you call them. And I always kind of viewed it as they kind of balanced each other out, because I feel like either side taken too far to the extreme can become a dangerous situation, right? If there's no checking between the two. Because one, if you go too far on the one end, it becomes like too authoritarian, and too far in the other end, well, there's also left-wing authoritarianism, but just the two I feel like need to balance each other out. Or at least that's how I used to feel. But it's interesting because what you say is happening in Russia, it's how it is here. I mean, it's like increasingly people can't seem to just talk anymore. Like you are on one side or the other. And if you don't want to be on one side, they're going to force you onto that side because, like you got to pick. So, but that's actually relatively new to my experience. That's relatively new in American culture. Like the belief here used to be that both sides needed to get along and that we kind of balanced each other out. But now it's becoming more of a us versus them mentality.
Yeah, I want to add that here in Russia, it's not just a battle between ideas, like liberal ideas and conservative ideas, but it's also about our, how do you pronounce this word in English? Sovereignty?
Sovereignty.
Sovereignty, yes. So our independence, because as I said, after we got defeated in the Cold War, we actually had American intelligence agents walking around the corridors of Duma, the Russian parliament. So some of our ministers, they were not allowed at their workplace. So they were stopped by the CIA agents. So for Russia, it's a battle for life, actually, for our future, because if we don't fight back, like, for our independence, and that's what Putin tries to do, because ever since he came to power, Russia is getting, it started getting stronger, and the West doesn't like it. And the United States don't like the stronger competitor. So
how you,
for us, yeah.
let me just clarify how you perceive the events and how it's perceived among at least half of Russians is that the Cold War ended, Western powers came in, started influencing your system, and have embedded themselves in your system. And you feel that it threatens Russia's independence and sovereignty. And so the position of the nationalist side is that you essentially would just want that influence out, and you would want your system to be just entirely Russia for Russia.
Yes, sure, because well, every country wants to be independent, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a natural desire. You don't want your neighbor to come to your house and like just sit in your chair with his legs on your table.
But it sounds like half of your country, though, or at least a portion of your country, actually doesn't want to be independent. Like they would rather join the like I don't know what you call it, Western coalition or globalist coalition, right? So you have some that it sounds like, from what you're telling me, I could be wrong, that what you're calling the liberal side, they would kind of prefer to be more like Europe and to actually maybe be under like a European system.
Well, some of them just don't understand what it may lead to.
Right. No, I'm not defending one or the other. I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I'm
right.
just,
right.
yeah, I'm trying to, yeah, some of them really want Russia become just a colony of America, so to say. And some of these people are in the government, and that is why they get money from Americans. Yeah, they have their houses in America, and they actually want to move to America. They don't like Russia. Some people, like younger people, ordinary people, students, they are liberals just because they don't understand what it may lead to. Because if you let your neighbor sit in your chair first, then you let him to drink your coffee, like take your cup. So if you don't stand your ground, yeah, it may one day you might be out of your house, basically.
And so, like how you perceive it now is that they've been in your house, they've got their feet on your desk. Putin. You say it Putin.
Yeah, well, I say it the Russian way, Putin.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I just we say Putin over here, but I guess Putin is more appropriate. Or not? It's the right way. It's how the Russians say it. But so the idea is he is here, and he with the nationalists, they want to stop this before it goes any further, before Russia totally loses its independence.
Yes, he said, Putin said, we. What did he say exactly? Like, we don't want anybody else's land, but we will not give away an inch of our own. So we don't pretend to be like world emperors or world rulers. We just want to be here in Russia, to live, to work, to grow plants, I don't know, to have a life of our own. Just don't come to us. Like, let's be friends, but don't make attempts to take something from us.
Right. Yeah.
That's his position.
I totally I understand and sympathize absolutely with your position. The way a lot of people see it here, in the way it's frequently portrayed in the media, is that Putin says those things, but he does want Russia to become the world global power again. And so he may say these things, but in the background, he's working manipulations to try to make, not bring back the Soviet Union, but to, start taking over countries again and make a global superpower again. And I am not versed in this topic, so I'm like, when I say people's opinions, I am really just saying what I hear other people say. I don't know enough to have an opinion one way or the other, which is why I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to hear your side. But that's kind of how it's seen here a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, the USSR, we had like our circle of allies or friends, and at some point the USSR and its economy was totally independent from like the West. We even had our own currency, the golden ruble, and we didn't buy anything from the West. Like, we didn't export, we didn't import. We just had all this like separate system working. So maybe that's what Putin wants. I don't know anything about his further plans, of course, whether he does want to become a global power, but
I thought
it's obvious. Yeah.
I thought I saw something about how he had proposed like creating like a union of the Baltic states or something like that. Like just getting like the European Union, but kind of like a Russian version of it. I saw
Mm-hmm.
something about that a couple of years ago. I don't know how much substance there was to it, but and this was, it said it would be like a voluntary cooperation. Has there been any? Has that? Is that anything you know about?
Well,
Or?
to be honest, I didn't. I haven't heard about it, so I really can't say anything about it. But
Okay.
you know, the Baltic states, they don't really like Russia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Estonia, Latvia, like
Because
Lithuania,
because they remember the Soviet times.
yes, yes. Yeah, well, you always have like 2 points of view, right? On like on one hand, there were a lot of good things, like there were hospitals built,
In the Soviet times.
yes,
Okay.
schools. Like after the war, you know, everything was ruined, and of course, the USSR helped like restore everything. But people in these countries, they just, I don't know, maybe I don't know why they don't like the Russian language. They don't like anything related to Russia. Maybe they had a lot of it at that time. Like it was obligatory to learn Russian in school and so on. Maybe they just like every small nationality, they want to have their own. Like they're very nationalistic, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They want to have more of their own. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe that's why. But actually, the USSR did a lot for these countries. Not to mention that we liberated them from the Nazis. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's sad.
Yeah. That aspect of it, I guess, is always that aspect is forgotten. Like here, anyway, we kind of think of it as we forget that the communism and the Nazism thing started out intermeshed. You know, like one against the other. That aspect actually gets forgotten. I think just because it was so long ago. Like generally when people think of the Soviet Union, they're thinking of like the 1980s, 1970s, and I think it's easy to forget where it came from and how it grew, right? Because it grew out of the end of World War II.
Yeah, and it was a big threat, right? The Nazism. It was horrible and it was very dangerous. So when now I hear from some American people that America played the biggest role in World War II, I don't understand these people, because if we just compare the losses, human losses,
Right.
like the USSR lost 27 million people, and that's like the biggest number. So
And you stopped them. You stopped Hitler and drove him out, right?
right.
That was the
So
scorched earth policy where they just burnt all the land and they just said, yeah, like as Russia was retreating, they would just burn all the land behind them. That's what I learned at school, the scorched earth policy. And
yeah, there were a lot of strategies, and we were lucky, because kind of lucky because it was very cold when the Nazis came the first year. So Hitler wanted to finish it quickly. That is why they came in summer, in June. But so he planned to finish it by the autumn time, but they couldn't, and then it got very cold, like minus 40 Celsius. So yeah, it was a problem for them.
and that was when they had reached St. Petersburg, right? And there was the line in St. Petersburg that they couldn't cross.
They blocked it. They blocked the city. So they blocked the food coming into the city. So it was not coming into the city. And people were starving. And there was only one road across the lake, the Ladozhskaya озеро, Ladozhskaya Lake. It was called the Road of Life. So this was the only road that the Red Army could use to get food into the city. But yeah, it was blocked for or it was sieged for I think 900 days. That's yeah.
I assume you probably have like a holiday to celebrate when you drove the Nazis back.
Yes, we have the Victory Day, of course, on the 9th of May. And we also have a memory day on the 22nd of June when they invaded us. So actually this year it will be 80 years since the invasion.
Well, that's absolutely, it was an amazing thing that Russia did, and something that should have great pride in. I'm curious. I mean, Stalin killed a lot of people, right? Is that accepted history for you there in Russia, that Stalin? Because I mean, here, the atrocities under Stalin are, I think the numbers dwarfed what the Nazis did with the gulags and the ethnic cleansing and et cetera, et cetera. How do you?
Yeah, of course, yeah, people died in these camps. But again, there are two sides to it.
Okay, well, what's the other side?
Yeah. So
if
usually,
is this getting uncomfortable? This is an uncomfortable subject.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So when Stalin became the head of the country was in a very poor state, because before we had a civil war, the revolution first, then civil war, and he just had to do something to revive the economy. And that is why many people who had their own private farms, well, not we don't call it farms, but their own, well, I don't know actually the word in English, but when you have a land, when you have animals, like a house,
a ranch,
kind of, yeah. So there were division between rural people. So some of them were richer than the others, and the country needed grains, resources. The army needed resources because the situation was the situation in the world was unstable or dangerous, maybe, and Stalin had to sell grains to other countries to just get some money into the economy, to just rebuild the economy. So what he did was a very brutal act, but it helped. It actually helped to revive the economy. So he just...
wasn't there a famine after that, though? Wasn't there a really bad famine after the...
Yeah, there were a couple of years of famine. Yeah, just the grains... there were no harvest. It's just...
And so you don't think there was any connection between the famine and the killing of the, what was they called, the kulaks, I think they were called?
Well, he didn't kill them, the kulaks. he took their he took their property, their land, their
Oh, okay.
animals, and
then redistributed it.
yes, and they were sent to Siberia, but and yeah, the conditions were hard. Of course, you can imagine life in Siberia is not easy. So many people died, yes, and there were also a lot of what we call them now. Well, basically the same kind of people that we have now in the government, basically traitors, foreign agents. And it was also the case when Stalin was in power. So he was very brutal in eliminating all the foreign agents so that they don't interfere with the home domestic issues of the USSR. And of course, some people were just innocent victims of this act, because when you take you want a road and you just use a tank to make a road. So it's a very, very harsh instrument. So many innocent people, they were just told on. So if they, for example, if you were not getting along with your neighbor could tell on you, he could say, oh, he's a spy, he's an American spy, take him. And they didn't check it, they just took you and put you in jail.
That's scary.
Right, that is why so many people died, unfortunately. Yeah, but
that's a scary way to live. That'd be scary.
Right,
very scary way to live.
That was a very scary time. Yeah, and then the war came, and but my grandfather fought in the war, in World War II, and well, we call it the Great Patriotic War because for us it was the liberation of our land. And despite of all the things that was said about Stalin, my grandfather, he really respected him, and there was a portrait of Stalin in his room, and he said, when somebody tried to criticize Stalin, he just said, "Don't do that," because I don't know. I think he was still a great commander in chief.
And also, Russia, the conditions were very bad before Stalin took over, right? So it's not like there was a lot of poverty, etc. And so it was an improvement under Stalin. Communism was an improvement, from what I understand.
Yes, and after the war, actually the economy started growing, and there were even the prices were going down, not up. So now we have inflation every year, the prices go up. But when Stalin was in power after the war, the prices used to, they would go down every year. And then what I told you before, we had he built an independent system of trade. So we were not dependent at all on the Western goods.
You were totally self-sufficient. You didn't
Right.
have to trade with anybody if you didn't want to. You could have just lived
Right.
in the Soviet Union. You had everything that you needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's got to be, yes. I would imagine from your perspective now, despite all the terrible things that happened under Stalin, there's probably a part of you and the Russian people in general that misses being a superpower and having everything self-contained and right, like
Yeah, well, I I also before I also thought of Stalin as of a just cruel person, like horrible person. But when you start researching and reading and like listening to other people's opinion, historians, so you start to understand what was going on and to understand better the decisions that had to be made. Maybe, well, Stalin used to say, well, everyone knows how it shouldn't be done. Like who will tell me how it should be done? Okay, if you criticize me, tell me how it should be done. But there were no one else wanted to take this responsibility, so he took it, and he did. Like, I think he did what he could at that time.
Under in the communist era, religion was outlawed. Is that correct?
Yeah.
But now, like, Eastern Orthodoxy has become very vibrant again in Russia, right?
Right. But I think people always believed, even
they just kept it secret.
Yeah, because people need this. People need faith, some kind of a faith in superpower, I think. And yes, right now, people in Russia are very religious. Well, I wouldn't say they follow all the rituals. Not everyone goes to church, but we have four major religions. Actually, we have Orthodoxy, Orthodox Christianity, we have Islam, we have Buddhism, and we have Judaism. So, yeah, most people are Orthodox, of course. And yeah.
Are you Orthodox?
Yes, I am. I was baptized.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not, I guess the thing I'm curious about is whenever you get into the area of like the ends justify the means kind of talks, which is kind of what you're saying with the Stalin era, like the problem with it if you believe in God and you believe that every life is sacred, then that makes the ends justify the means argument difficult, right? Because it's like those are precious lives that should not have died.
Right.
Yeah. So do you I guess my question is, because it sounds like there is some parts of Russia today still that look back on the Soviet era, there were good things about it. But with that religious spirit that has come back, is there not a friction there, a conflict between saying that like Stalin was doing what he had to do when he killed a bunch of people, but if you believe in God, then all of those lives are sacred and there's no justification for killing them, or at least there'd be no justification unless they were like a murderer or something like that. But is there a friction there? Is that?
Well, there's always a friction when it concerns Stalin. Yeah, he's a very controversial figure.
Okay.
Yeah, and I myself, as I said before, I thought he was completely evil. Then I just changed a little bit my view on him, but I still want to know more. Like I still can't. I watched a movie recently. It is called Oh, I don't know the English name, the name of this movie in English, but it was about the war, World War II, and there was a person. It is based on a true story. So there was a person. So he, an American, and he was very religious. So he was Christian, and he was against any violence, including murder, of course.
A pacifist, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. But he really wanted to help defeat the Nazis, and he went to the war. But he said, I will not take the gun. So I will just be like a nurse. So I will just help save people's lives. But I will not kill anyone. And at first, everyone looked at him like he was crazy. Like, why are you here? So when he was going through training, his like other guys there and his superiors, they were like, well, you should take the gun. You should you should go through this training of shooting. Otherwise, we will just like kick you out of here and like send you home. But he was very persistent, and eventually he managed to prove his point of view. Like he stayed in the army, but he didn't carry a gun.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so that's, yeah, because as you said, like every life is precious. And he believed so too.
That's
But
an amazing amount of faith, though, and just in conviction. You know, I mean, like, I believe every life is sacred, but if you threw me in that instance, I'd probably pick up the gun and just start fighting. You know?
right. And he said, okay, you guys, like, you shoot. Like, they were fighting with Japanese, that it was the end of the war. So they were sent to Japan, and all his like the friends, and they were shooting, and but he wasn't. He just helped the wounded people, and even when he saw a Japanese soldier come towards him, like, he wouldn't pick a gun. Still, he would just hide somewhere.
That's amazing. I mean, that takes a certain kind of courage, really, to stick to your beliefs that much. You know?
Yeah, but what I mean is that, well, I think I wouldn't behave like him. Like, I would also pick up a gun and kill someone who is like trying to take my land, kill my family, and so on. So yeah, that's murder. But how can you not defend yourself? How can you not defend your land, your country? Because for me, well, I would defend my home, of course, if somebody came to my home. But I would also defend my country, because I think my country is my home.
Mm-hmm. No,
So
I can absolutely understand that thinking. And I mean, I love the United States. I love my country. I have fought, and I would definitely die to protect my country. So I totally understand, and I appreciate those thoughts, and I appreciate how complicated the Stalin era must be for Russians. I mean, it's easy for us on the outside to be like, well, that was horrible. But for you on the inside, you have very different considerations, right? It's a more complicated subject for you. So I can respect that, and I understand that, and I sympathize with that.
Yeah, maybe Stalin was thinking, okay, I will go to hell for this, but my country will survive. Like the children of the Soviet children will survive. Yeah, well, I don't know.
Right.
There is so much we don't know about this era, and it takes a lot of time to actually do research. So
Right.
I wish I had more time to do it. Yeah, but
so speaking of time, we've gone over an hour. Do you have time to talk a little bit more? I want to touch on some lighter things.
Yes, I have time.
Okay. So that I really appreciate that discussion. That was awesome. I'm already looking forward to publishing this, because that was exactly the type of thing I wanted to talk about. The Russian perspective is such a mystery here in the United States, because all we hear is the media's presentation of the politics. We don't ever really get to hear from the Russian people. So that was awesome. But on a lighter topic, Yetis. You told me you've got Yetis in Russia.
No.
I did not know that. I did not know.
No. I didn't
well, no,
say that.
No. I meant that you have belief in Yetis, that there's like well, they could be real or they could not be, but there's at least a belief in them, right?
Yeah, actually Russians are very superstitious, and we believe in such things. Yeah, but
well, I'm curious, because here, we have the Sasquatch here and we have Bigfoot here, which is essentially the same thing. Most of the people that believe in it, like really believe in it, well, not most, but many are from the Native American tribes. You know, the people that were here when the Europeans came. And so they have a very specific way of how they view the Bigfoot and the Sasquatch. So I'm wondering, how are they viewed in the Russian perspective? Are they like, because a lot of the Native American tribes actually consider them to be, they're almost like human beings. It's like a different tribe of human beings. They're huge, hairy human beings, but they're like, they're more like humans than they are like apes. How does Russia view it?
well, when I said we believe in Yetis, I didn't say we actually believe we have them. We have our own like more Russian creatures, like водяной, like the water. I don't know how to translate it. Like the waterman who lives in the I don't know. I don't know the word in English. Wait.
Okay.
In a swamp. Swamp.
Okay. Swamp.
Yeah.
And he's a man that lives in the swamp, and like does he?
Well, he's male. Yeah, but he's just a character or creature who lives in water, like underwater. And well, a swamp is a dangerous place, right? Because you can drown there if you don't know how to make your way through. Like if you don't know how to behave there, you can easily drown. So then people say that this водяной creature took you if you drown in the swamp.
Well, what does he look like though? Does he look like a human being, or does he look like an animal, or?
He looks like a human being who is covered with moss and
and slime like, and stuff.
Yeah, like very disgusting creature.
And is he supposed to be located in one specific swamp, or just any swamp?
Yeah, just any swamp. Yeah.
Wow, he's a busy guy. He must get around. That's a lot of land to cover, right?
Yeah, and we also have Leshi, who lives in the woods. So he's like the woods creature. And if you go to the woods and again you don't know your way around, so you can get lost because this creature, he just makes you lose your way in the
Ah,
woods because he wants to eat you or something like that.
that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and we have Baba Yaga. That's an evil woman who lives also in the woods in a house that has chicken legs. So that's like a house on legs.
That is really weird. I think there was a horror movie made 3 or 4 years ago that had the Blagadayu in it.
That had what?
Didn't you say it was called Blagadayu?
No, Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga. Okay.
Da. It's like, yeah, old lady Yaga.
I'm gonna look this up after we're done talking because I think there was a movie here where they had that character as the monster in it.
Uh-huh.
It's triggering something in my memory. I'm gonna look that up. I'll
Uh-huh.
let you know if I find anything.
Yeah, and if you want to watch some Russian movies, sometimes there is actually a movie, a new movie that includes all these creatures
Oh,
that I
really?
listed. Yeah. Oh, what's it called? The last Bogatyr. So
Bogatyr.
Bogatyr is a Russian warrior.
Ah.
So there is a belief that in ancient times there were really strong men on the Russian land. Like they were, they were called Bogatyri. So that's like a really, really strong man who possesses the power of like 1,000 average men.
Wow.
Like he's that strong.
Wow. That's a strong man right there, huh?
Yeah. And yeah, so the movie is called The Last Bogatyr, The
Ah,
Last
cool.
Warrior.
Maybe I'll see if I can find it. Speaking of strong men, so Russia, you got the best wrestlers in the world, right? Um, so is wrestling very common as a sport? Like, do people just even if you're not a competitor, do people just wrestle like for fun? Like here, people shoot hoops just for fun. You don't have to actually be in a basketball team. You can just go shoot hoops. Is wrestling like that ever present all around Russia?
Not right now. You're probably thinking about such wrestlers as Yemelyanenko, as Habib, like Valuyev, Klitschko. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are these the names, the right names?
Habib, are you talking about Habib?
Habib, Yemelyanenko, yeah, Fedor Yemelyanenko.
Emelianka. No. You're talking about. You're talking about Fedor Emelianka
Да,
and
Yemelyanenko.
his
Yeah.
brother Alexander. No, that would be called here. That's mixed martial arts. That's like fighting, actual fighting. I was talking about wrestling, like Olympic wrestling. You know, Russia
Ah,
produces some of the best Olympic wrestlers in the world. Actually, I think they produce the best in the world.
well, actually, again, in the 1990s, well, first in the Soviet Union, of course, sports, people used to do sports a lot, and including wrestling. In the 1990s, people also did a lot of like wrestling, boxing. There were like gyms, you know, like not official gyms, but they were located in some basements, like basement gyms, where people just used to work out and get trained to be wrestlers and boxers. But now I don't think many young men do wrestling.
Are the Russians getting soft? Are you getting soft?
Yeah, I don't know. There's just no need right now.
Right.
Like in the 90s, it was a dangerous time. So there were a lot of bandits, like a lot of gangsters, because people didn't have any money, and some people just, they would choose this path to become a burglar, a bandit. And many of them were recruited from these gyms, actually, because they could fight really well.
Right. Huh.
Yeah, but
I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, I think right now wrestling is just like any other sport. Like if you are like figure skating, yeah, you can go do figure skating. You can go do wrestling or I don't know, hockey. I think there's no difference. Wrestling is not more popular than any other sport.
Well, it's like in Canada. I have a friend who's Canadian, and like in Canada, pretty much everybody plays hockey. Like even if you're not on a team, just everybody plays hockey because it's their national sport. So I thought maybe wrestling was like that in Russia, but it sounds like it isn't. Speaking of Fedor Emelianenko, is he very famous in Russia?
Yeah, he is famous. Yeah.
Yeah, because like here, mixed martial arts is still kind of like you might be famous among martial arts fans, but the general American still probably wouldn't know you because it's still kind of like a sport that's off on its side. You know, like it's not mainstream fame generally. But yeah, I forget. Oh, but Fedor is like a celebrity there among everybody, not just MMA fans.
Yeah, like an average. I think an average Russian would know him anyway because he was on the news. Yeah.
Do you watch mixed martial arts? Do you watch the cage fighting?
No.
No.
That's not what I'm
Does your
interested
husband?
in.
Does your husband?
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes he watches it. Yeah.
Well, that whole the Baltic area produces a lot of really, really good fighters, like you said. Yeah, a lot of great fighters come out of there. But all right, another interesting thing. You mentioned that it's common in Russia for women to not get their driver's license.
Yes, many women, they just don't need it because their husbands drive, and if you live in a city, you can get around using public transportation. We have a really good system of public transportation. We have, for example, I live in a city that has 600,000 citizens. And we have buses, we have trolley buses, that's like an electric bus. We have trams. We don't have subway, but we have all these other things. And they are very frequent, very convenient. Like all the areas of the city are covered by this system. So, well, right now, I personally don't need to drive. Like I don't have a car and I don't have a license. Maybe someday I will need it. When I need it, I will get it.
Right.
Yeah, but actually, I actually looked up some information on it, and in fact, the number of women drivers increased over the last 5 years, maybe. But it's also a common belief, like among Russian people, that women are not very good drivers, especially, well, they can't park really well. Like, yeah, that's what.
Do you think that's true?
I don't know, because I don't know many women drivers. But
Oh yeah.
for example, my mom drives, and she's like a very good driver. She's better than my dad. So, and my sister drives, and she's also a good driver. So I really can't say if it's true.
Well, I've never noticed women to be bad drivers. I mean, I think there's some women that are good drivers, some that are bad drivers, just like men. So
Yeah, well, according to the Russian police statistics, women do get into accidents more
really?
often.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting. Maybe I should look up the U.S. statistics. I wonder if that's true here as well. I don't know. But do you have any more cryptids or supernatural beings to discuss?
What else do we have? Oh, we have Domavoy. Yeah, I will I will write to you all these names later and email them to you.
Okay.
Yeah, Domavoy comes from the word dom, house. Yeah, so that's a creature who lives in your house, and it's like a good creature. It guards you, it like guards the house, but you need to treat it right. Like you need to actually give him some treats, like food. There's a special corner. Well, it used to be there in like village houses. A special corner for.
You don't do
No.
that? No?
I live in an apartment building.
Right.
There is no magic here.
You think if you lived in a country house, though, do you think you might start doing that?
Well, if I noticed something was going wrong, because if you don't treat Domavoy nicely, he might do mean things to you.
Oh, that's how it works.
Yeah.
I read, is this true that there is a belief that you should not shake hands over the threshold of a door?
Right.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That's something that people still take seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting. I thought that was a really fascinating superstition or belief, however you want to phrase it. But do you know why that is? What the danger is supposed to be?
I think you will quarrel with this person later. Like you will have a fight or something.
Interesting.
Yeah, and actually it's a very so Russian men, when they meet, they always shake hands. Not just when they meet for the first time, but every time they meet, they shake hands. And it's impolite to shake hands while wearing gloves. For example, in winter, even if it's very cold, you need to take off your glove and shake hands. Otherwise, it's just like you don't respect this person if you don't take off your glove.
Is there a convention for when men and women meet? Do you shake hands?
No. No. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. The last topic I want to discuss is this kind of stems out of what we were talking about, is the Russian formality, because to people who don't speak Russia, like you have different ways of saying you, like vui or tui, depending on the formal or the informal. And my understanding is that goes, or even hello, it's Zdravstvuyte or it's privyet, right? Formal, informal. So is that more of just a convention of the language, or is that something that is common in all interactions? Like if it's a formal interaction, you observe very different rules than if it's an informal interaction?
Yes, if it's a formal conversation, you use formal words, like you use the formal you, вы, you use здравствуйте, the formal hello, you use до свидания, the formal goodbye. And
what would happen if you didn't do that? Well, what would happen if I went up to somebody and I just said right away "Privyet" instead of
they would, yeah, it would sound really rude.
Oh yeah, they would really be offended by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like I always refer to you as "Vuy" because you are my Russian tutor. A couple times I accidentally said "Tui." Did that offend you?
No.
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 No. Well, it'd be okay if I did. I'm just trying to understand. I'm trying to understand how the dynamics work in the system in your country. I mean.
Yeah. So you see, you have to use the formal language if it's your first meeting with the person, like if it's a stranger or you just got introduced to this person. If the person is much older than you, you will always use "вы", the formal language. Even if you start getting along really well, you become friends. If the person is much older, you will still say "вы" and use the formal language. But if people are approximately the same age, after they get acquainted a little bit, they they find out something about each other, they become familiar with each other, then it's okay to move to the informal way of saying things. So that is why, I don't know, you and I can move to "ты." I don't mind.
Okay. Okay. And so if say it's a police officer, right? Is that like a situation where you would always keep the formal aspect, even if it was a police officer that you saw on your street every day, you would still keep to the formal discussion with him?
Well, unless you are friends with this police officer.
All right. Yeah. Duh.
Until that point, maybe if you drink a bottle of vodka with this police officer, then you become friends. Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
I don't drink vodka, by the way. I don't drink at all.
And you don't drink any alcohol?
No. And
Neither do I. Is there a reason why you don't?
I just don't see any point in doing this. Like it does more harm to you than it does good.
I totally agree. I do not like alcohol at all, and I've seen it damage a lot of people's lives. But drinking in Russia, that's like very common, right?
Yeah, and some people, they just drink on an occasion, like there is a holiday, somebody's birthday, I don't know, New Year, and it's a tradition to drink some amount of alcohol. They don't get drunk. Like for me, it's really weird. Why would you drink at all and not get drunk? Like you would want to like relax, right? You would want to have this impact on your body when you're like, yeah.
Right.
But to drink just like a bottle of champagne, or not a bottle, but a glass of champagne,
right?
Just like you still put alcohol in your body, but it doesn't give you any effect. Like, why are you doing it? It's like a cultural thing.
Right. Yeah. I feel the exact same way. Like some people will like have a beer with their lunch. And it's like, why drink one beer? Yeah, like that's weird to me.
Yeah. What's the point?
Right. I agree. I totally agree. But All right. Yeah. So you're expanding your channel. You were working on expanding your channel today.
Yes, I need to make videos. Well, I'm not doing anything today because it's already late, but like right now, my husband and I, we're doing it together. So we are working on making more content on YouTube because we need some advertising, and like we need, of course, every business needs advertising. So we are trying to do it through YouTube, but we also try to do it through Google, like to actually pay money to Google to advertise for us. But we had a problem with our account. Like Google blocked our account a few months ago. So we were not able to advertise like the past 5 months, maybe.
Are you still taking on students, or are you filled up with students?
No, I don't take new students at the moment because right now I just have enough students to just make ends meet, and we're just working on expanding the business.
I see. Just get some money coming in just while you're sleeping. You don't have to do anything. You make your videos and just have the money come in.
Kind of, yeah.
That's the way.
Well, yeah. Right now I just finished my audio course for beginners. So if anyone, like if any of your friends want to start from zero, like they want to start learning Russian from zero, they can use my audio course.
Oh, cool. Is that live right now?
It's on my website, so I can give you the link.
Yeah, well, I will be sure to make sure. I'll let everybody know about that. I may even do it too, just for extra practice.
Yeah, so that's the plan, like to sell the course right now, because before I was just doing one-on-one lessons, and yeah, at some point you want to do something like some product and to sell it. So
well, that's exciting. I hope it goes well.
Thank you. I hope to.
All right. This was awesome. I would love if we could do it again sometime, like in a couple months.
Okay.
I mean, if you're interested, we'll see. We'll see what you say then, how you feel then.
Yeah.
But
Хорошо.
Spasiba, thank you so much. This was awesome, and I can't wait to put this out there, and I'll let you know when I do.
Okay. What's your YouTube channel, by the way? You said
I'll send you the link to it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I also started a podcast channel, which I'll put this on there as well.
Okay.
So that will just be audio, just words. But
Okay.
yeah, this is
Sounds
excellent.
good.
All right. So spasiba and das vidanya, and I will see you next week.
Yeah. See you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.